An 8-year-old girl is kidnapped, brutally attacked, and left for dead, but her fight for justice forces her to confront her darkest fears and reclaim a life she thought was lost forever, based on a true story. Today, I'll recap a 2013 crime drama film, Hope, so keep your eyes wide open and stay safe. The movie starts with an 8-year-old girl named So-won, who is living a happy and carefree life with her parents, Dong-hoon and Mi-hee. Her family shares a strong bond, and every day feels warm and full of love. One day, So-won is running late for school. Since her school is not too far from home, she decides to walk there by herself. On the way, she runs into her friend, Young Seok, but he quickly leaves to hang out with his other friends. Moments later, a strange man approaches her in the rain, asking if she could share his umbrella with him since he is soaking wet. Tragically, So-won is kidnapped, attacked, and severely beaten. Despite the horrors she endures, she finds the strength to survive and manages to call for an ambulance. This moment sets the stage for a powerful story about courage, family, and healing. Dong-hoon and Mi-hee rush to the hospital as soon as they are notified about So-won. Their hearts are pounding, filled with fear and worry for their little girl. When they arrive, the doctors inform them that So-won has severe internal injuries, as shown on her scans. They head to the emergency room, and their world completely shatters when they see the condition their daughter is in. So-won undergoes emergency surgery, and while the doctors do their best to save her, they deliver heartbreaking news. She will have to live with a colostomy bag for the rest of her life. The parents are overwhelmed with grief, but they remain determined to help their daughter heal and move forward. 3 days later, the police arrive at the hospital to interview So-won. Her parents are hesitant, knowing how fragile she is, but they want justice for their daughter. A kind therapist named Jung-suk speaks with them first and explains that So-won is still emotionally unstable after everything she's been through. With Jung-suk's support and gentle guidance, So-won bravely agrees to do the interview. During this, she also identifies her attacker from a set of photos provided by the police. Her courage shines through, even in such a heartbreaking moment. Afterward, Jung-suk offers to help Dong-hoon and Mi-hee manage So-won's mental health, emphasizing how important it is for her recovery. But Mi-hee, overwhelmed with guilt and anger, refuses the help. She struggles to believe that anyone could truly understand what their family is going through. Meanwhile, the police manage to arrest So-won's attacker. The family feels a small sense of relief, knowing he has been caught, but their pain is far from over. As they are moving So-won from a private room to a shared room in the hospital, Dong-hoon's phone rings. It's the police, informing him about the arrest. Without a second thought, he rushes to the police station, desperate to see the man who hurt his daughter. When he gets there, he is overwhelmed by the sight of news reporters swarming the station, cameras flashing, and microphones shoved in his face. Feeling trapped and unable to handle the chaos, he quickly rushes back out, his emotions a storm of anger, pain, and frustration. All he wants is justice for his little girl. Details of the horrifying incident quickly make their way onto the news. The reporters even reveal the hospital where So-won is staying, putting the family's privacy at risk. When Dong-hoon learns about this, panic takes over. He rushes back to the hospital, determined to protect his daughter from any further harm. As soon as he gets there, he carefully carries So-won upstairs to a new room, hoping to keep her safe and away from prying eyes. But on the way, her colostomy bag starts leaking. Dong-hoon tries his best to keep calm and gently sets So-won down on the bed. Mi-hee goes to check on her daughter and notices the leak. The sight overwhelms her, and she runs out of the room, desperately calling for help. Shortly after, the stress and exhaustion become too much for her, and she faints in the hallway, leaving the family in yet another moment of chaos and heartbreak. The traumatic incident is still fresh in So-won's mind, and it haunts her every moment. As Dong-hoon tries to comfort her after moving her to the new room, she suddenly starts crying and screaming at him to stop. Her voice is filled with fear, and her small hands push him away. Dong-hoon freezes, confused and hurt, until it hits him. So-won is terrified of men now, even her own father. The realization breaks his heart, but he steps back, not wanting to scare her any further. The nurses rush in to help with her leaking colostomy bag, taking over while Dong-hoon watches helplessly from the corner of the room. All he can do is silently hope that one day his daughter will feel safe again. Mi-hee's condition worsens after she faints, and she is also hospitalized. During her checkup, the doctors reveal a surprising piece of news. She is 5 months pregnant. Dong-hoon sits alone in the hallway after hearing this, his face buried in his hands. Tears stream down as he quietly sobs, overwhelmed by everything that has happened. The weight of So-won's trauma, Mi-hee's health, and the news of another child feels like too much to bear all at once. It's clear that the aftermath of the situation has taken an emotional toll on him, leaving him searching for strength to hold his family together. Later that night, Dong-hoon tries once again to talk to So-won. He sits gently by her bedside, hoping to connect with her like they used to. But So-won pulls the blanket over her head, hiding herself in silence. She feels too embarrassed and ashamed to speak, and the fear inside her won't let her meet his eyes. Her trauma has built a wall between them, leaving Dong-hoon heartbroken and unsure of what to do. Determined not to give up, he begins thinking of new ways to reach out to his daughter. He knows that even if words can't bring them closer right now, he has to find some way to make her feel safe and loved again. The next day, he and a few close friends try to brighten So-won's spirits. They dress up as colorful cartoon characters and dance around her hospital room, hoping to bring a smile to her face. Watching this, Dong-hoon suddenly gets an idea. He decides to dress up as her favorite character, Kokomong, thinking it might help him connect with her without scaring her. He knows it's a small step, but it's worth a try if it means breaking through her silence. At the same time, Mihi finally agrees to let her daughter receive professional help. She realizes that they can't face this alone and that So-won needs extra care to heal from her trauma. It's a glimmer of hope for the family as they slowly start taking steps toward recovery. That night, Jung-suk opens up about her own painful past. She shares that her daughter went through a similar traumatic experience and sadly, she couldn't cope with it and ended her life. Jung-suk talks about how, deeply affected by the loss, she tried to take her own life the same year. Her attempt left her in a wheelchair, but she survived, and now she dedicates her life to helping others heal from pain like hers. Her story shows how deeply trauma can affect people, but also how powerful it is to keep fighting for hope, even after such dark times. Dong-hoon dresses up as Kokomong, So-won's favorite cartoon character, hoping to bring some joy to her. When he walks into her room, she looks up in surprise, and for the first time in a while, a small smile forms on her face. She reaches out and hugs the mascot, feeling safe and comforted by the familiar character. They share a warm hug, and for that moment, Dong-hoon's heart fills with hope. So-won has no idea that it's her father inside the costume, but the love and warmth they share in that moment help heal some of the distance between them. It's a small step, but it's a step toward finding each other again. So-won begins her therapy sessions, and little by little she starts to open up. At first, she can't speak, so she uses a magnetic erase board to write her thoughts instead. The trauma has made it hard for her to find her voice, but with the help of her therapist, she starts to slowly heal. As time goes on, So-won finds the courage to speak again. Each word she says is a small victory, and her family feels a sense of hope returning, knowing that healing is possible, even after such a painful experience. So-won's physical health gets better, and soon she is strong enough to go home. On the way back, she passes by the place where the terrible incident happened. The memory is too much for her, and she gets so upset that she throws up when they finally arrive at home. As the family enters, they notice something surprising. There are positive notes pinned up all around the front of their house, filled with encouraging words. The house has also been cleaned while they were away, as if someone wanted to make their return a little easier. It's a small act of kindness, but it brings a sense of warmth and hope back to the family in a time they really needed it. Young-suk, So-won's friend, feels really guilty for leaving her the day of the incident. He couldn't stop thinking about what happened, so he decides to visit Dong-hoon. When he sees Dong-hoon, he starts crying, feeling terrible about what he did. Dong-hoon, seeing how upset Young-suk is, tries to comfort him. He hands him some candy, a small gesture to show that it's okay to make mistakes. But what matters most is learning from them and trying to be better. Dong-hoon visits So-won's school to talk to the staff. He explains that So-won has a colostomy bag and asks if it's possible for her to avoid contact with male teachers for now. He knows that So-won feels embarrassed and insecure about the bag, especially because of the crackling noises it makes. To help her feel better, Dong-hoon comes up with an idea. He fills a small bag with candy and shows So-won how to use it to cover the colostomy bag. It's a simple solution, but it helps So-won feel a little more confident as she heads back to school, knowing her dad is there to support her. After a little while, So-won starts to figure out that her dad is the one inside the Kokomong costume. One day when they get home, she carefully lifts up the mascot's head and smiles at her dad. She gently wipes the sweat off his face, and in that moment, it's clear that the fear is gone. So-won is no longer scared of him. The bond between them is stronger now, and it feels like they're starting to heal together, little by little. As time goes by, Dong-hoon decides to visit the man who hurt So-won, now locked up in jail. When he talks to him, the attacker says he doesn't remember anything because he was drunk that day. Dong-hoon gets so angry that he throws his chair at the glass window several times, hoping it would break. But no matter how hard he tries, the glass doesn't shatter. An officer quickly steps in and puts the attacker back inside his jail cell. Dong-hoon is left standing there, filled with rage and frustration, knowing that nothing can take away the pain his family has gone through. The day of the court trial finally arrives. So-won is asked to look at photos of the man who hurt her. She points to him and also remembers that he smelled like alcohol when it happened. But when the judge announces his sentence, it's a shock. He's only given 12 years in prison, which makes Dong-hoon incredibly angry. In a fit of rage, Dong-hoon grabs something, planning to hurt the man behind him. But just as he's about to strike, So-won rushes in and begs him to stop. She is crying, pleading with her dad to come home. After a long moment, Dong-hoon finally agrees. They leave the courthouse together, knowing that the road to healing will still be a long one, but they'll face it together. As time passes, So-won's baby brother is born. Even though things are getting better, So-won still has some tough days and sometimes has to go home from school early because she's still working through her feelings. She finds something new she enjoys, making paper crafts. She spends time building things out of paper, which helps her feel calm and creative. In the end, we see So-won playing happily with her little brother. She's holding a paper plane she made for him, flying it in the air, with a smile on her face. It's a small moment, but it shows how much she's beginning to heal and find joy again. So, which awesome movie should we recap next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below and let's make it happen. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you never miss out on our movie recaps. We've got plenty more coming your way. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Produced by Warner Movie Recaps.